Welcome back to the fourth lots of mini lesson feedback that I'll be giving. Same people again, so let's get straight into it. Ashley's your fourth lesson. I thought it was a really great way to finish a unit. Your feedback will be based around higher order thinking, knowledge integration, and high expectations, which were the focus points in your feedback sheet there. So, start with your higher order thinking. I think it was a massive strength of the lesson. The way the formative assessment was designed to promote that higher order thinking was excellent. It didn't just focus on the recall of information, but it was designed so that students were able to analyze these real world scenarios, evaluate the different feedback mechanisms, and justify the reasoning using some scientific evidence as well. I love the guided analysis task there. Which system failed first? I thought that was a really nice scaffold, a nice way to scaffold the students into that analytical thinking, and prompting them to identify the stimulus and then the system response and then the type of feedback that's involved. So really liked that sort of activity there. And then the follow-up formative task there extended this further by getting the students to evaluate the failure points or purpose interventions, which is great. And then that sort of clearly moves into the learning of analysis, evaluation, and creation. So those tasks there were excellent. So really well done promoting that higher order thinking and getting that deeper knowledge and that sort of next level information out of the students. So good work there. Secondly, you've got knowledge integration. It was another good strength of the lesson. The students were required to draw on the learning across the unit, which was good. It was a really nice way to sort of sum that all up. It looked at the nervous, endocrine, and immune systems. So good work incorporating all of that. And looked at sort of positive and negative feedback mechanisms as well, and applying that to some new and unfamiliar contexts which you introduced to. The different case studies there with the heat stroke, viral infection, low blood sugar supported the students in sort of looking at those ideas across systems rather than treating them in isolation, because as you've been going on about, it's all integrated. The body's all integrated. It's not just all isolated systems. So great work there. It was good integration, and it demonstrates that deep conceptual learning and supports students transferring their knowledge and their learning into the different and new situations. So great work there with your knowledge integration across the lesson. And then with your high expectations, these were clearly communicated throughout the lesson. The students now know that they're expected to use the proper meta language, justify their claims, and sort of demonstrate their reasoning rather than just describe what they mean. So great work there with those high expectations. I love the choice-based assessment there as well, allowing the students to sort of analyze, diagnose, and design an intervention, which supported that student agency, giving them that choice of learning, a bit of ownership over their learning as well. But you also made sure they had the high expectations there too, so they knew what they had to do. But overall, absolutely loved it. Great work, awesome unit. Super impressed by the way you were able to sort of integrate all the QTMs there. So yeah, excellent job. Really enjoyed that unit, and good luck with your teaching going forward. Sam's last lesson, again, it was a good conclusion to your unit. Really enjoyed the topics that you covered. The feedback will be around deep knowledge, high expectations, and standard communication. Again, they haven't changed for your feedback sheet, so we'll go on them again. In terms of deep knowledge there, again, you maintain that similar focus over a small concept that you really honed in on for the lesson, which I loved again this week, was that choice of frame and how that framing decisions influence meaning, pacing, and reader interpretations within the comic books that you're creating. So I really liked how you had that specific focus again. Your constant reference of frame size, shape, and perspective, I thought really helped the students understand that framing is a narrative tool rather than just like an aesthetic choice. So similar to the other things, but yeah, looking at the why we do things, how the framing impacts what the viewer is seeing, and how that impacts the storytelling there. So I thought that was a really good deep knowledge of the topic, and you showed really good understanding and were able to build from previous lessons as well. So good work there. With your high expectations there, you required the students to analyze examples, compare the frame choices, which was good, and then apply that to their own comic creation. And I thought that was really good. The students should have justified their frame choice through the annotations that you have there, which was great, and a good concept of risk taking rather than just surface level drawing. It allowed them to sort of compare the different ones and see which approach was more effective for the story they were trying to tell. So good work there. It promotes that self accountability. However, it'll flow onto our substantive communication again. There wasn't any opportunities for students to sort of show them their understanding, show you them their understanding of why they thought they were choosing those ones and whether that was correct or not. So yeah, again, it's an online setting. It's pretty hard, but sort of coming up with ways for those students to show you their understanding, making sure their justifications are correct and they're not just sort of flowing on exactly what you're saying. Because, as you said in your lessons, a lot of the students would have been coming up with their own sort of comics as they went, not just copying you. Um, and getting them to justify to you why they were going with certain frame types would have been beneficial for their learning, and for you to sort of provide some feedback on that. So, yeah, I said it before, but yeah, just trying to increase those opportunities for students to show their learning would have been good. But overall, I thought your unit was excellent. I love you've got a really good voice and a really good tempo and a really good way of explaining your thoughts throughout the lesson, and I think the students are they really benefit from that. I know I did. So good work with that. You're very talented with your drawing and stuff. It's something I've never been good at. So excellent work there. But yeah, good luck with your teaching. Hope it all goes well, and hopefully, yeah, you smash out the rest of your degree. And lastly, we've got Tina's fourth lesson. Again, I think it was a really good way to summarize the unit and finish it all up and wrap it all up. I've really enjoyed this one. The feedback will be higher order thinking, student direction, and connectedness as per that feedback sheet, not street. Um, but overall, I thought your higher order thinking was a great strength of your lesson again. You didn't just focus on that recall. Students were asked to analyse how society's values and needs influence the different scientific researchers. And then that was particularly done through that example of the genetic engineering, which was great. I love the comparison between the information presented when searching GMOs are bad compared to when you search GMOs are good. And it really showed it was effective in promoting students to evaluate that bias, credibility, and perspective, which was a really good way to lead into your requirements for the assessment task at the end there. Um, the task also required students to move beyond sort of accepting that face value and instead question how that scientific knowledge is presented and interpreted within the society, which strongly aligns with that higher order thinking. So, no, I thought that was an excellent aspect of your lesson. Well done. And then we've got connectedness and that sort of real world relevance there, which was another strength in your lesson. You use those different media articles, public opinion data, global examples, which sort of helps students recognize that the science that they've been learning about doesn't just exist in isolation, but it's also deeply influenced by societal beliefs, misinformation, and values, which you went through as well. So I thought that was excellent way to sort of connect that to real life, getting them to realize that it is a global thing too, and linking that sort of scientific research to public trust, fear, and ethical debate created meaningful relevance as well, and highlighted why scientific literacy matters beyond the classroom. So yeah, again, getting that connectedness within their learning. And it, yeah, actually aligns really well with the Australian curriculum for the topic as well. So, no, I thought that was an excellent way to incorporate that element. So, well done there. And then finally, the student direction there for the assessment was really good through that society and science assessment task. You allowed the students to choose their scenario, which was a great way to promote ownership of learning and engage with what they sort of found interesting there, which was which is just great in general. So well done there. And then also required students to respond to their peers' work, which was something that not a lot of people have done throughout these lessons. So and you found a really creative way of doing that, so good work there. And yeah, this the choice and responsibility is super effective in an online context because it supports that self regulation as well and promotes engagement as well because the students now feel like they're learning something they're interested in because they had so many choices to choose from with all those scenarios there. Um, yeah, it just promoted that engagement and interest, which you get a lot more buy in from the students. So great work with student direction. But overall, thought it was another excellent lesson. You've smashed it throughout the whole unit. It was a really good way to sort of summarize the whole unit there, and I really enjoyed watching your lessons. And yeah, great work. Good luck with your teaching. Go well. Cheers.